What is what is up, everybody? It's a different unfiltered sports cast, sports show, NFC AFC recap as we finished out the official playoffs as we're now into the Super Bowl, and we'll have a lot to talk about. I'll have a lot to brag about. But for now, I am Todd Fox along with Dominic Lorenz. How you doing, my friend?
Doing well, doing well. I know you are holding everything at this point. You are excited, you're happy. I hate that you're happy, but you hate you hate the game. You don't hate the players, you don't hate the player, you hate the game, however the saying works out. You're living on cloud nine. So for you personally, I don't want to say anything about the Seahawks, but for you personally, congratulations.
I appreciate that, my friend, and it takes a lot. I mean, because the last couple times, like with my girl being a Niners fan, I have to bend the knee a little bit and be like, hey, you know what? Uh, good luck. It's one
Yeah,
of those.
exactly.
If I don't want to sleep on the couch, it's good luck. And I'll like I said the last show when bad things were happening, I kind of ran out to the close the sliding glass door and was cheering a little side, a little bit loud, and then came back in like, yeah, I had to stretch a little bit.
Yeah, you got to have that persona no matter what. If it's for yourself or the significant other one, it doesn't really matter. But it was a very interesting weekend of football, to say the least, with a different outlook. The no Mahomes, the no Josh Allen, Lamar
Yeah.
Jackson. The Niners aren't in the NFC title game. Like, regardless of how you look at it, this felt like a very different playoff this year. Yet you get a rematch of a Super Bowl, which we'll get into.
Yeah, I mean, it tripped me out because this morning, like they've been giving me shit, all season. So, there's a lot of bandwagon Rams fans at my job. So they were like, "Oh, whose house?" They kept saying that over and over. And so I'm like, "Hey, man, you're at our house this weekend, so
Yep.
let's see how that goes." And I knew those assholes wouldn't travel, dude. You didn't see any Rams fans up in the stands.
There was more Niner fans up in Seattle 2 weeks ago than there was Rams, which
Absolutely, there was
not even surprising.
Yeah, it wasn't even close, dude. The Niners had a lot of representation there. And on the fact and that was impressive because Seattle tried their damnedest to keep you guys out with invoking penalties to season ticket holders who were selling their seats, and
Yep.
also to different brands that were selling their what is it, ticket holders and stuff like that. So it was crazy, man. Or ticket brokers, I should say.
Yeah.
Not wearing no Seahawks stuff tonight. Still got the helmet right here. Got all my other gear inside, but I was wearing it to work this morning, and I gave him some shit, so that was great. But we'll talk about how the Rams lost, and we'll talk about what was by far a boring AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
And so, real quick, you brought it up, Dom. I'm not going to get to where we went right and where we went wrong yet, but I will say this. The Eagles weren't there. Like, even if you want to throw in Dallas, a lot of people thought the playoffs were going to suck ratings wise.
Yeah.
In your opinion, did they? Because I saw some big ass numbers.
I would say through the entire playoffs, up in, now that we're 2 weeks away from the Super Bowl and we're in that little weird week off, bye week period, and then the press and everything that happens with the Super Bowl, looking at the playoffs, every single game that took place, I would say if I had to put a top 3 entertainment value on a game, I would maybe top 5. We'll see how I rank those out. I would say the Jacksonville-Buffalo game was entertaining. I would say, selfishly, the Niners-Eagles was entertaining, right? It was down to the wire to the end. And I would say the Rams-Seahawks was entertaining. And I'm trying to think from wild card weekend here and there what was available. But, maybe you put, Denver-Buffalo was an entertaining, controversial game, to say the least, especially with catch, no catch, Bo Nix being out. We'll talk about how that impacted the AFC title game. But definitely by my accounts, those were probably your 4 top entertainment values. I would say this year's playoffs on a scale of 1 to 10 was probably like a 6. You had some games, you had some boring, bore fest, like the Pittsburgh-Houston game, bore fest.
Yeah, it was all defense. Yeah.
AFC title game, somewhat of a bore fest. Right? Like, it was very strange this year. Not as many high-scoring, back and forth gunslinging type games like we normally see in the postseason.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your credit, let's talk about the most entertaining game, at least over this weekend. Because if you're new to the show, we did recaps and previews and our picks for every game, and for the most part, we had some pretty good calls this year. Dominic won this year's picks, but we're going to talk about for the third year in a row.
Third year in a row, yes, indeed.
Yes. So in this game, I will just say this, man. The three best teams in the NFC all came from one division. Each one of them could have won. Each one of them had their flaws, but they were damn really good teams. The Niners, Rams, and my Seahawks.
Yes.
And any one of those teams, I still believe could and should win the Super Bowl, as now Seattle is in line for that. But that was going into the postseason. Now where we were at, it was just destined to be Rams, Seahawks if the Niners couldn't be there, because it could have been them as well.
Yep.
This game lived up to the hype, man. If I would have told you, Dom, in 2 games against the Seahawks that Matthew Stafford would have 600 he had over 800 yards passing, 6 touchdowns. He was something ridiculous like 51 of 80.
Yep.
And he lost both games. You would say I'm crazy, right? But that's what happened, dude.
I will say this. We saw it, well, I forget, what was it, week 15? When Seattle played the Rams at home on that Thursday night football game in the overtime and, that crazy back and forth game. And I said it on the show right after that. If this is a preview of the NFC title game, it's going to be something very similar. A back and forth style of football. Seattle's defense, and I'm firsthand to this in the last 2 matches that the Niners played the Seahawks. It's smothering. It's dynamic. McDonald's got them going in a very, very correct direction in a very short amount of time. So Seattle is definitely a threat, not just this year, but moving forward. I would say your window was open, I would say, for the next 3 to 5 years, like guaranteed, no questions asked. And that's coming from, a Niner fan. But the way Stafford handled themselves in these 2 games, the Thursday night football and more especially the NFC title game, this is the only time I'm going to be positive about the Rams, because, what do we have in common? We don't like the Rams, so we kind of win this week. Either way, it was going to happen. But Stafford knew how to lead this team in a hostile environment in Seattle. And I think that's what was going to be the driving force. If the Rams were going to beat Seattle, it was going to be on his shoulders and his shoulders alone. Like, the Rams have been the coveted team all season long. Sean McVay, they bulked up defensively. They bulked up with Devontae Adams, and they were on a great trajectory to begin the season. Niners beat them on the Thursday night. They get back on a winning streak. It's kind of, I don't want to say limp, but had a couple of off games leading into the playoffs, and then they took care of business in round 1. Nearly lost to the Bears, looking a little scattered in those first 2 playoff games. And they had opportunities in this game against Seattle, but they couldn't get over that hump. So, props to Stafford, but I think at the end of the day, the Achilles heel was definitely that Rams defense.
Oh yeah, and dude, like, and I'm getting called out for wearing my Ducks gear. We just did a Ducks post game show, but I didn't switch hats. But yeah, I got my helmet.
My hats just happen to be like to my left, so I can swap in a dime.
Exactly. I'm not. I got all my other stuff here. That's the only Seahawks stuff. I'm not going to wear the helmet during the damn show.
Trust me, he might paint his face, the Seahawk green in 2 weeks when we do the Super Bowl preview show. Like,
right, exactly. But to go back to your point, I mean, look, he played in a hostile, stadium where Lumen Field gets super loud. Been there many a times. Yep. And the defense, look, he shredded one of the number 1, if not the number 1 ranked defense. To Morgan McCoy's comment, do you think he'll see ghosts? No, I think that ghost mantra gets killed in the Super Bowl. Darno played just as good, didn't turn the football over. We'll talk about how this game went, but to go back to Stafford real quick, Stafford was, he had Devontae Adams in this game, which he didn't have in the previous game. He had all these other weapons at his disposal. The offensive line did a hell of a job against my Seahawks front 4. We barely put any pressure on them, and that left gaping holes, which I thought that they would, eliminate Puka a little bit. I knew he was going to get his, but he wound up still finishing with almost 170 yards receiving, and it seemed like he missed a couple opportunities to get even more. and JSN got his.
Mhm.
But Dom, like in this game, the defense had to play the most man-to-man I've seen him play all
Yep.
year. And at times it bit him in the ass, and at times they came up with big plays.
And we talk about this NFC West a lot, how competitive it's been, minus the recards, because they don't exist. Come on,
I hate them. They don't matter.
Nobody wants that coaching gig. Like, they're still out there. Like, shouldn't that say a lot about your organization?
Bro, we need a coach, damn it.
Yeah, come on. Like, sidebar, again, Todd and I, we agree on that. We don't like the Rams and we don't like the Cardinals. It's easy as that.
Yep.
But this game, on a defensive standpoint, based on both teams offensively were trading blows with each other. But when there were times in this game where both teams made a defensive stand. So it wasn't like this game was 50-49 final score. There were times where subtlety did work. And the thing that impressed me the most, and again, can't believe I'm being positive about the Rams here, but I'm going to say it again. Stafford was only sacked once. That tells you how important that offensive line has been. If you look 2 weeks ago against the 49ers, who were banged up from here to kingdom come, Brock Purdy was sacked about 3 times, but the number of pressures that prevented him from leading this offense in any sort of way proved how smothering Seattle's defense was. They only had a handful of legitimate pressures that freaked out Stafford, and only 1 sack in this game. So
who pisses
the Rams.
Oh, absolutely. And not to interrupt you, but I can't stand Dotson. Dotson is a dog on the offensive line. He makes a lot of plays, and I was impressed too on how good that offensive line was not to false start. I mean, they didn't have one false start, and that was probably one of the loudest performances by the Seattle 12s all season long. Yeah. So I was tripping on that. I thought, and this was for the most part a very clean game. There's a couple penalties we'll talk about later on, but for the most part, Dom, it was a clean game too. And the Rams too, before we get to the Seahawks side, they were also able to run it a little bit. But to some of my Rams friends at work, they were like, why did we get away from that? Do you think that was the right move, not running the ball too much?
Honestly, looking at the numbers and how the Rams have broken down their running game this year, they ran the ball 22 times for 114 yards. 55 came from their backup running back in Blake Corum. 39 came from Kyren Williams. 16 with Matthew Stafford, and 4 yards from Puka Nacua. Thank you, Zigzag. I appreciate that. I'm still licking my wounds, but we try, right? We're trying here. I honestly think the Rams to me are one of those teams in the NFL. You live by the pass, you die by the pass.
Correct.
In my opinion, I'm shocked they didn't throw it more than 35 times in this game. I'm surprised. You had Nacua, 9 catches, 165 yards. Devontae Adams, 4 for 89. Both those guys got a touchdown. It doesn't help that you lost a possession on a muff punt.
Mm-hmm.
That turned the title a little bit back in Seattle's favor. So, honestly, from an objective perspective, I wasn't in the NFC title game this year, so I got to be as objective as possible regardless of who's playing. The Rams had a B+ to more so A- game plan for Seattle, offensively speaking. I think they did a really good job executing everything. You knew Puka Nacua was going to get his touches. You knew Devontae Adams was going to have his touches. He Puka 14 targets, Devontae and everybody else 6 targets or less. That's pretty much been on par for what the Rams have done this season. So to me, should the Rams have run more? No. Matthew Stafford's had an MVP caliber type season. He's in the running. I know we'll talk about that in some news and notes from around the league later. And I do want to get your takes on a lot of the awards that could be handed out. But you've lived and died by Stafford. That's what is the genius McVay talked about all the time. Stafford. Why do you think they traded him? You wouldn't have traded him to hand the ball off 15 times to Corum and 15 more times to Kyren Williams. So to me, they executed the game plan. They missed out on 1 possession on a muff punt. And late in the fourth quarter, when they had a possession, they weren't able to execute. So I think it was one of those games. Who got the ball last and who could do something with it? And it wasn't so much who could get in the end zone. It was Seattle at the end of the day getting enough first downs to bleed the clock and win the game. Still, whoever gets the ball last and executes better wins the game.
And for my side, dude, I was clinching the whole game because I was so frustrated because I don't want to lose these guys. You know, ever since they came back to LA, Dom, I think I've only seen them win at LA twice, maybe.
Yep.
The entire time the Rams have been here and Seattle has come down here to visit and stuff, and then I've gone up to Lumen a few times, but I did not want to see McVay hoisting the NFC championship in our stadium. And I felt that Kubiak helped that not to be in the first half by creating different plays sets and different formations I haven't seen all year.
Yeah.
With JSN out of the backfield, the constant motions they were having to use. Halani, I believe his name is, the third, fourth string running back. And then you had some strong running from Walker. So they were mixing it up really good. They went down there, got a touchdown. The Rams came down, got a field goal. They returned with a field goal. And you just saw some really nice plays, some chunk plays by both teams. And then I felt it was huge at that point when they held the Rams to 2 Mevis field goals. And it was 10-6. And so instead of giving up touchdowns, you're only giving up field goals. And then the Rams went down, and I saw something. I don't know if you saw on that on the running back touchdown pass from Stafford, but Ewan Mora was he like 4 guys crashed on the tight end. And they let the running back just out, and I was like, oh shit.
That was reminiscent of how Christian McCaffrey played against Seattle week 1. Remember, we were watching the game together, and you're like, forget about this guy. You go after this guy. Like, a running back's going to blur out of the backfield and just kind of skim to the right and kind of go into no man's land. And it just wasn't read properly. So, again, you had opportunities. And for Seattle, a team that had been so on of late defensively in the back half of the regular season and in this postseason, there were some blips in the wrong direction. So the Rams did expose something, in the future. Does New England capitalize off that? We'll see how the Super Bowl comes out. The biggest drive of this game, I think, was when the Rams down 31-27 in the fourth, 14 plays, 84 yards. They end up turning it over on downs with about, how much time was left in the game? About 4:54 left. To me, I would have gone for the field goal, cut the deficit to 1. You still had multiple timeouts at your back pocket. And you need to stop Seattle one more time because, again, you didn't get the points. You forced yourself in a touchdown. If you go down by 1, it's not the most opportune thing to do. But if you do get the ball back and your defense stops Seattle, all you need is another field goal. Your kicker proved that he made everything that he kicked mostly in this game on Saturday. And I think looking back, I think he was perfect in this game. Made all his field goals, made all his extra points. There was nothing wrong. So you would have tried at that point. I think that's maybe a conversation. Does Sean McVay go back and do it? Probably not. I think he still goes for it because you saw the same script, when they played on that Thursday night. Both teams, 4th down, go for it. 4th down, go for it. Go for 2 in overtime. Like, it's, the impact of an NFC title game. And both of these coaches, well, more so McVay has been a part of more of them in high-pressure situations than McDonald. This is kind of McDonald's coming out party deep in the postseason. So just something to think about moving forward.
Oh, we'll get back there in a second as Morgan keeps saying Donald sees ghosts. But the thing was, he didn't see it the other night. And going back, we'll go to that point real quick because I do want to hit on that what should have been 31-30. So Seattle would get a long pass to JSN to get in field goal range when it was 13-10, but they went for the gusto. Threw a touchdown pass to Jake Bobo, I believe, right?
Yep.
Yeah, to make it 17-13, only Bobo's 4th catch of the year. And I thought that was huge going up 17-13. And I thought after the halftime, Dom, I'm like, okay, we got to go out there. We got to at least get a field goal. We got the ball first in the second half. They went 3 and out.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, we're in trouble. And we go to punt, and that muff punt, dude, like he muffed one earlier in the game, recovered it. Yeah, he muffed it, and then all of a sudden we're 1st and goal, dude. Or no, we're at 1st and 10 at the 20.
Yeah,
something like that. Some inside the 20. So we're red zone like right away.
Field position.
Yeah, that was a huge play, which we'll talk about because I want your thoughts on this. I've talked to a few Rams fans. They kind of blow off what happens later with Tariq, and they're like, no. The play of the game was the muff. In your opinion, was the play of the game the muff?
The way the back and forth scoring had gone, right? And Seattle is able to snatch the lead before half. Yes, to me, it's still the play of the game. Maybe I'm a little jaded because the Niners have been through that multiple times, muff punts in the NFC title game. Again, PTSD. Thank you for that. I appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I would say that was big because, again, both teams, and especially the Rams, proved that they could go down the field and score points. For as
Mm-hmm.
good as the Seattle defense is, the Rams found ways at times to carve it up a little bit. So if you're down, what was it, 24-20 at that point? Or it was 17-13 when the punt happens. Let's say the Rams get down the field and they get a field goal, 17-16. If everything else, again, this is all what ifs. If everything else happens, that turnover on downs at 4:54 remaining, instead of going for it, you probably go for the field goal, take the lead, and you got to try to trust your defense. Changes the complexity later on. If the Rams score a touchdown, take the lead 20-17, the Rams get the win, or it would be a tie at that point, how it breaks down point-wise. So again, I think the muff is the biggest thing. However, definitely the Tariq Woolen 4th down, I'm going to start running my mouth to the Rams sideline is probably number 2 on that list. It extends a drive, gives the Rams some hope that they had lost after the muff punt, and you give them hope late in the game, and it ends up turning the tide into that Devontae Adams touchdown. And then later the turnover on down, they wouldn't have been in that turnover on down situation if Woolen doesn't do what he did. So I think 1A, 1B, I would put the muff punt a little bit ahead of the Tariq Woolen play. Now, if this game was tied and that was the game changer, like on that last possession, and it was in the red zone, and it, for example, made them go from a field goal kick to 1st and goal inside the 5, and the Rams scored a touchdown and won, then of course the penalty is the bigger play. But I think in the case of the situation that the Rams had gotten off the field defensively to start the second half, and then the Seattle gave it right back to them in turn, and then oopsie, I would call that one a little bit bigger on the spectrum.
Yeah, because you had some big plays in this game, and going back to it, when they got that touchdown to go up 11. The Rams came right back down, got a touchdown, and then Seattle got one with what's it called, Cooper Kupp. And I've been riding Cooper Kupp all year.
I knew this was going to happen. I knew this was going to happen.
He's been asked, dude. Like seriously, I can't. There's no other way. I think he was the worst acquisition that Schneider has made, honestly. And before I get to what Reek did, him scoring that touchdown, I thought was instrumental. He made a couple good catches. Obviously, the one later to extend the clock and really run down the clock, which normal Pete Carroll teams would have just ran the ball and trusted the defense, and you would have been in a nail biter, and you probably would have lost.
Yep.
But I love the aggressiveness of Seattle. But in that moment, there was another play in the game, Dom, where the catch and the touchdown to me are big or whatever. But I think another play that is forgotten is when Cooper Kupp, there was the one bad throw that Sam had. He threw against his body, back across his body. And I think Durant had a beat on it and jumped the route. And out of nowhere comes Cooper Kupp to kind of punch the ball away from Durant. That should have been a pick.
That's IQ recognition right there by a veteran wide receiver.
Absolutely. And that play was huge because obviously the Seahawks that was the reason why they had lost the first game here in LA and should have lost the second game in Seattle because they had 6 turnovers, and Darnold had the bulk of those. So, man, that play was huge. And then to get back to your point, when Seattle has an 11-point lead, the Rams are 3rd and 12. Tariq makes a great play. I'll just tell you a quick story. I have the current Eddie Lacy jersey. Remember when he spent a cup of coffee with Seattle?
Yeah.
I have that jersey. A friend of mine bought it as a joke, and it has 27. And the first thing that came across my mind, no lie, Dom, because I was throwing my Seahawk hat on the floor. I was so pissed off. I pick it up, put it on my head, and throw it again because I'm like, how could you be so stupid? I'm yelling at the TV like he can hear me. But the first thing that was coming across my mind is I have a fire pit outside, and I'm going to take some tape and put and cover over the Lacy.
If it costed you the game,
If we lose this game, I'm making some stupid social media post with me burning a jersey and people saying you're a dumbass, And I would have been that dumbass to do it. but I was so angry because that play could have and did freaking change the tide, and it could have cost
Yep.
us a game because the very next motherfucking play
Yep.
over the top, and the dude gets beat.
Yep. It always happens. It's like when there's a offsides free play. Aaron Rodgers is always great at that. Other quarterbacks are very good at that. Those free plays and that momentum shift it brings out something different in the team that benefits from a call. And the Rams were on the beneficiary side of Woolen's just bad IQ situation. And that's where I think in the next 2 weeks for Seattle, they got to clean that up because it's the Super Bowl. Those small little mistakes make a difference.
Every play counts.
Every play counts. And, I know we'll preview the Super Bowl next week or the week of Super Bowl between the Patriots and the Seahawks. But you get bailed out. You get lucky. I think on the Seattle perspective side of things, Sam Darnold has been a revelation this year, right? Last year with Minnesota. And I don't care what anybody says. He has said it. Everybody has talked about it. The 49ers are to thank for Sam Darnold becoming what he was once again.
I agree.
His career with the Jets, the Niners have rebuilt. And again, I'm not trying to blow V8 because it's my Niners, but Mac Jones has been a revelation. Everybody's talking about him. He's worth a first-round trade pick. It's like, oh, okay. Sam Darnold has been that guy, and they've talked about it at length of what they learn in that quarterback room and how you go from teams, no offense, Randy, our good friend, like the Jets, and it's just not snapping, right? Either the culture's wrong or the coaching's wrong or just something's not clicking. You go to San Francisco and it clicks. And Angels fight on. Purdy is fine. When you get decimated with 90% of injuries, look, and Todd knows this. Look at week 1 Purdy with a healthy squad around him. They beat Seattle in a hostile environment in a tight game, 17-13, which is over the years kind of what Niner-Seahawk games have been, right? Those down-to-the-wire games that mean so much with the rivalry. You get decimated through the season, and Seattle turned it the F on late in the season. It is just absolute blow-by, and it's a completely different setup moving on. I think the Vikings, I agree, CDs. The Vikings reset his value on the market, but I think the internal workings of Sam Darnold up here was the 49ers kicked that into high gear. What he learned with Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan and what he's put on tape. Who knows? It doesn't translate to some teams. It really doesn't. But Seattle has taken that. And even though his numbers are high for what we think Sam Darnold, like most people don't think of Sam Darnold as a top 10 quarterback, right? It's the Mahomes, the Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Drake May, Trevor Lawrence, the big names. Sam Darnold does not fit in that big name category. He's blue collar worker, go in, do your business. They've created that offense for him where he does the simplistic things right and gets big payoff at the end of the day. You don't see Sam Darnold 50 times a game like Stafford trying to hail it down the field. And I think that's where the difference lies of why Seattle has found success with Sam Darnold.
And I think the Vikings jumped on that too much. I know they made the high draft pick to get McCarthy, but if you think about it, this guy's won 30 games in 2 years now with these two. Yeah. And you look at the fact that Darnold, like in Darnold in Minnesota, he really played awesome until those last 2 weeks, which I think was Detroit and then the playoff game versus the Rams. When they had no freaking pass coverage or at least blocking, dude. Come on, was it 10 sacks by the Rams in that game? Yep. And I think what is it? He was sacked 7 or 8 times in the week prior against Detroit.
He was beaten, battered in those 2 games.
But see what happens when Seattle. What we've done is we've kept them upright for the most part. We've complimentary. Losing Charbonnet kind of sucked. But you get Walker out there, Mr. Conehead, after Lenore's comments. He's been playing his ass off, and he's a different running back. He's doing the stutter step, and then you got JSN, you got the tight ends, Barner working. and if Cooper Kupp continues to contribute 4 to 5 catches, that's huge because he wasn't doing shit.
He's as it was said in the comments, Cooper Kupp's have been there, done that kind of guy in the postseason this late. He's been there with the Rams. He's been to NFC title games.
Yeah.
I know you've given him a lot of crap this season, but I am by no means surprised that he caught a couple of big passes in this game. And I see him catching 4 or 5 because New England's going to cover JSN. He'll get his targets. He'll get his touches. Who is going to be the guy that sneaks under the Patriots' radar? Is it Cooper Kupp? Is it Bobo? Is it Barner? Losing Charbonnet for the season clearly stunted the running game a little bit, right? Even though Kenneth Walker had the touchdown, 62 yards on the ground, it stunted the running game a little bit. And I think it will in this game of the Super Bowl. So what does Sam Darnold do? Because to me, this is going to be the toughest defense that Darnold will have to play this postseason. The Niners were a shell of themselves. The Rams were decent in this game, decent to good. And New England's that next step up. So what is Sam Darnold going to do against a much better defense? That's going to be what's on display.
Yeah, my pick is sideways right here too. Shaheed, man. Shaheed's got to get more thrown to him because I think it might have been Durant. I forget who knocked the ball out the last time Seattle was trying to get that first down to truly ice it before they had to punt. Yeah. He had the ball in his hands and the guy just punched through and knocked the ball out. Otherwise, otherwise or you got a body. He didn't body. Yeah. And to keep him off him, that would have been a first down and that would have clinched the game right there. They wouldn't have had to play defense. But Shaheen, his freaking speed, dude.
The speed factor. Yep.
We were looking for more verticals from him. And early on in that first drive, they got that beautiful pass from Darnold to Shaheen.
51 yards. Yep.
They're going to need that because, like you said, to your point, the one guy who fears me on that Patriots defense is Gonzalez. And Gonzalez, I believe, has the tools to go straight up with JSN because there's been a couple times this year where JSN has been a non-factor. And we've had to get other passes or other plays from other receivers. So
who steps up? It's going to be a great matchup, and I know we'll dive into it. But encapsulating this game here tonight, I know the question was, who's got the better defense? Is it the Pats or the Hawks? Right now I'd say Seattle has the better overall defense, but Seattle, Houston, New England were pretty much your top 3 defenses in the latter stages of the regular season this year. So you're going to have 2 really good defenses on hand at the Super Bowl. So I think that's a positive fact, but there's a lot of factors to go into the Super Bowl. But overall in this game against the Rams, Seattle had enough in the tank to beat the Rams. Because I think, honestly, the Rams offense was clearly carrying the defense. And I think if they had one more shot at the end zone near the end of the game, if they had, because they had, what was it, that final drive, 30 seconds and no timeouts, something along those lines.
22 seconds.
22 seconds. To me, if they had, because they were at the 50 when Cooper Kupp went out of bounds at the end of the game, they were around about midfield, just past midfield-ish. If they had about another, I'd say if the Rams had 50 seconds and one timeout, they would have easily had at least 1 or 2 shots to the end zone inside 40 yards based on how he was getting the ball to Cooper Kupp. And it would have made it interesting, not guaranteeing a win, but it would have made the case scenario interesting. But definitely, as we transition from this game to the AFC, this was definitely the better game of the 2 in that weekend.
Yeah, the final thing I got on this one real quick is just that, it could have been 31-30. I thought it was kind of fitting because you know how we beat the Niners to go to the Super Bowl a few years back with the play by Sherm. It took a corner Witherspoon to knock that ball away from Cooper, not Cooper.
Crabtree?
What is it? Yeah, no.
Oh.
In the Rams game, Puka.
Oh, Puka.
Yeah, Puka, one-on-one with Witherspoon. Witherspoon made a hell of a play because he had been torched 3 times earlier in the game, too, by falling down. Yep. So it was just fitting that a defensive play won the game for Seattle. But, hell of a game. That, we spent a lot of time on that one because there was a lot of moving parts.
This one will be quicker.
Yeah, this one a lot quicker. I mean, disappointing from the end of the last Denver game. I mean, the fact that Bo Nix goes down, you're not able to go out there with your number one top
Yeah.
gun quarterback. And now you got to go in there with a guy who hasn't thrown a football in 3 years and last played for Vegas. So that's not good either one.
It's awful. Like, I really think the overarching theme of this game was, of course, defense. Definitely.
Yeah.
And that was the team I'm missing, the Broncos. Those are your top four defenses. Houston, Seattle, Denver, New England. So
They were all
right there, you
Yeah.
had three of the four top defenses on display this weekend. Okay. So at least that got it right in the NFL. If Bo Nix plays, Denver wins. Straight up. Bo Nix plays, Denver wins.
Yeah, it's probably like a 21-10 game or something. Because I mean, look, Denver had an opportunity, even with Strider or whatever the hell his name is, to have a 10-0 lead, and they chose to go for it and giving the momentum back to New England. And in this game, I mean, a lot of people forget with Tom Brady retiring, what is it? New England has 6 titles, man, or 6 world championships, and they're striving for 7. And you can easily look at this one, like, as a Seahawks fan myself, I'm like, well, wait a minute. How did they get there? Easiest schedule, first year coach. A lot of teams had injuries that are normally juggernauts. And then the fact that, they had the easiest run to the Super Bowl. The quarterbacks they played were turnover machines.
Yep.
And it didn't exactly blow out, freaking Houston after 5 or 6 turnovers or whatever they had. So it's easy to look at this as a Seahawks fan and be like, oh, well, this should be a walkover. And we'll get into that next show, but I don't think it's a walkover. I think it's going to be a tough game. You think it's going to be a tough game.
I think the 4.5 point spread is, I'd say, fair. Like 4 points within one possession is definitely going to be fair. Now we have to remember New England, both games taken over by massive snow. That changes. I don't care if they're New England and they're used to it, and Denver's whatever. Weather is a different freaking element. Seattle at this time of year was hella lucky weather to not play into a factor in the Niner game or the Rams game. I don't know how the hell Seattle got that lucky, but with Seattle being wet, up there in the January time span, very different. But this game was definitely defense orientated. Both teams had field goal opportunities at the end of the first half and couldn't connect. So if Denver scores and made that field goal, we're in a completely different ball game once again going into the second half. I just think, to me, I circle all the way back to Bo Nix. If Bo Nix plays, this offense runs a little different. And Stidham kept him in the game as long as he could. Right? They weren't blown out. This wasn't 40-7. 10-7 was the final. He did enough to keep them in it, but he didn't have it in his back pocket to get them over that hump.
And to, and that Gonzalez made an interception late when there was like pouring snow. I mean, the snowflakes were the size of your hand at that point.
Yep.
And freaking, like, it looked like he just threw it up there just to pray that it would come down. And Lazarus makes a good point. I mean, I never thought that there was an injury. I saw the end of that Denver game versus Houston, and that was a dumb call for him to roll to his left instead of just taking a kneel. We talked about that on the last show.
Yep.
His ankle broke, and we're like, what the hell? Like he's out. And so right there, New England had big time freaking favor. And you're thinking that New England probably doesn't stick it to them because it's Denver's defense, but they should win by 10 or more, something like that. Maybe even like, 8 or whatever. But damn, dude, like it even seemed like when the weather got bad, Dom, I haven't seen them wear those like color rush white jerseys. And all of a sudden they're wearing all white. And that's like an added advantage, dude, with fog and snow.
Yeah, right. It's, I really think this game could have been so much more. I would have loved to seen this kind of game. Bo Nix, Drake May, 2 quarterbacks that I believe, they came in the same draft class. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but same draft class. In no weather. I think if it was in a dome, no weather, both teams were relatively healthy outside of Bo Nix being injured. I think this could have been a really, really dynamic AFC title game. I really do believe that. You would have had 2 young quarterbacks. You had 2 really good defenses, 2 running games that are good but not great, wide receiving cores that are kind of unknown to the untrained eye, with the exception of the wide receiver ones. Stephon Diggs for New England and Cortland Sutton for Denver. Everybody else is kind of who? But they get the job done. It's very interesting. This could have been really good, but injuries, weather, and it was just one of those type situations. But hats off New England. It's going to be a rematch of Super Bowl 40. I think it was 46, 45.
Something.
Yeah, 2000. It was the good old Marshawn Lynch. Why didn't you run him in New England interception?
I think it was 49, if I'm not mistaken.
49. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 49.
Yeah, Tom Brady's final ring with New England before he went to Tampa.
The second one that he got given to him gift wrapped by a bird team, because the Falcons gave him the other one.
The other one.
I'll just say this as a Seahawks fan, and to beat the Niners, that's huge. To beat the Rams, that's big too.
Yeah.
To win it in Santa Clara against a team that stole one from you, that you either way, you handed it to them like you should have handed to Lynch. I'm tired of hearing it as a Seahawks fan. Like, for me, this will exercise the demons. Like this will move me to be like, I don't remember that year. I don't remember.
Feel better.
Yeah, because even though like the Eagles have been out, right? If I'm an Eagle fan right now, I'm like, hey, we're still the Super Bowl champions. Like even though we got punked early in the playoffs, until that team hoist that Lombardi, we're the champs. And I remember in 2013, I was saying that all 14 expecting a repeat, and it didn't happen. And it's been over a decade, and I just want to wash that bad taste out of my mouth. I want to see a Super Bowl victory. And this is the best chance, because like you said earlier in the show, bro, this is the weakest playoffs outside of our division that made the playoffs I've ever seen.
I would say this is probably, and this is, even as a Niner fan, this is by no disrespect to Seattle or New England. This is probably going to be the weakest quote unquote Super Bowl since what we know now is the final score of the Rams Patriots 13-3 final score.
I hope it's not like that, because
I hope it's not, but but on the onset, knowing what we know from back then, that was the final score 13-3, and what we see in this matchup, I hope it's not that. But right now, it feels like, is it going to be one of those games? Is it going to be lopsided? Because when Seattle completely decimated Denver in the Super Bowl, what was it, before Peyton Manning got his final ring? What was it, 43-8 or
43-8.
43-8. Like, that one, by all accounts, for entertainment purposes, was awful. Then you follow up a couple years later with a 13-3, Tom Brady, and the Rams being there for the first time in the retros, and Jared Goff. Is this going to be it? And that kind of was a letdown. What are we going to get out of this Super Bowl? I think, honestly, this is going to be a sneaky good Super Bowl led by defense. I really do, because you have 2 quarterbacks who have a lot to prove, one younger, one who's been a proven veteran that is trying to get himself back in good graces of a lot of people after a horrid start to his career with the Jets. You have Seattle, who's creating this new era of Seahawks football and creating this defensive-friendly football. And then you have New England with a brand new head coach and Mike Vrabel, who's not brand new, but he's been there, done that. He took Tennessee to places that they never thought they would be at in the
absolutely.
past.
Yeah.
So to me, who has the coaching advantage in this game? I would say Vrabel by a pinch, because he's been deeper in the playoffs than McDonald has been as a head coach, even though McDonald's been there with the Ravens on the defensive side of the ball. Which quarterback has the advantage? Probably I'd give it to Darnold with a little more veteranship than May. Who has the better running game? I'd call it even. Who has the better wide receivers? Probably give it to Seattle. Who has the better defense? Some metrics you'd say Seattle. Some metrics you have New England. On paper, it's kind of a deadlock game, even though it doesn't seem that way, with how dominant Seattle was at the end of the regular season and how they've been in this postseason.
Yeah, and I think it could be one of those things where New England tries to hold on to get field position and put their defense out there, but they can't stretch them that much. And I
Yeah.
believe if Seattle's able to, move the football and stop their run and force Drake May to beat him with a pass, because when New England's on, they're able to run the ball at semi decent, and they're able to utilize the tight ends through play action, which opens up the receivers late in the game. And if you can't do that,
Yep.
and Seattle's able to stymie the run and make you one dimensional, play action doesn't doesn't affect a defense with their ears pinned back.
No.
And I think that might be the difference in the forcing turnovers. I love my Seahawks, and I'm pulling for them big time. We need this Super Bowl. Um, that's the way they're going to win, man. And I
Yeah.
don't expect a blowout. I really don't either. It wouldn't shock me if it was like 20-17 or 20-10 at best, something
Yeah.
like that. But I'm Marky says 0-0.
Yeah. Hey, internally for me, I got no ill will against New England, so the Seattle 0 would be great as a Niner fan, but it's not gonna, this is going. I think it's going to be a sneaky. I'm not going to say a sneaky elite Super Bowl. I'm going to say this Super Bowl is going to be sneaky good.
Yeah, yeah. I
And,
hope so.
until the game plays out, we know what happens from start to finish. For the next 2 weeks, I'm going to call it a sneaky good Super Bowl matchup in a year where there's no Niners, there's no Chiefs, there's no Buffalo. And I know I'm hurting as a Niner fan still. I'm going to get over it and move on to the next season. I think Buffalo's hurting more.
Oh, yeah.
Buffalo's hurting the most because Josh Allen knows if they had beaten Denver, what could have been that game because it would have been in New England, Buffalo, New England divisional matchup. In your opinion, does New England beat Buffalo in New England if it was those two teams?
I don't care if it snows. I think Josh Allen finally gets over the hump.
Then in that case, let's say it's Buffalo, Seattle. I would call that a sneaky great Super Bowl.
Yeah, that possibly is going to go down to the wire, and we could get beat. Like I would fear that all the way.
Yeah, and I think and what Ryan brings up is a good point here to kind of wrap this, AFC NFC before we kind of get to some news and notes around the league and coaches and awards. I could see this case happening too. Drake May, second season at the helm of New England. Where do you see poise or desperation? What kind of Drake May are you getting? We saw him play good against Houston's defense, right? He made plays and throws when he had to in the snow. We saw him play subpar against a really good Denver defense. Jekyll and Hyde, who are we getting? Will Seattle run him into bad decisions and run away with this one? I think out of all the questions about this Super Bowl, I think that's the number one question with this stymie and staunch as this Seattle defense has been. I think a lot of weight is going to be put on Drake May's shoulders. And if he loses, people are going to badger that man for day on and day on. To be in the Super Bowl in year 2 under a brand new head coach, I think anything is gravy. New England is definitely above their window at this point. But Drake May is going to have a lot on his shoulders the next 2 weeks. I really do believe that. I think that's where this game, the number one point, where is this game won or where is this game lost? And I think it's Drake May versus Seattle's defense. That's the biggest one, easy one to grab at.
Yeah, I'll look at it this way. I think the Seahawks have more pressure on them because, number one seed had the home field just like New England. But like you said, New England's not supposed to be there. They're playing with house money. They're supposed to be a year away from this, and maybe 2 years, and they're right there in the Super Bowl. And Seattle, yes, they've come far. They've come, faster than a lot of people thought too. They were probably a year away under McDonald, but now you've got all the pressure of you got to exercise those demons. You got to make up for that 2014 season, how it ended. You could beat New England. The pressure's there. So I don't think it's a lot, but I think McDonald's the right guy to coach, and then to handle the non-pressure, to happy that we're just here. No, we want to win this thing. Vrabel's the perfect coach for the Patriots too. So
the one other element that was brought up, I just realized this. Brian brings up a good point. Josh McDaniels is the OC in New England. All those years when New England would play Baltimore, when McDonald was a defensive coordinator at Baltimore, don't tell me there's not going to be a lot of film about McDonald's defensive scheme from the mind of Josh McDaniels. I think that's another. A lot of people probably won't even put those two things together about the previous days back in the AFC. So again, that could be an initial element to this game as well. And that goes into the coaching chess match of this game. And I think it's, two good coaching staffs at this point.
Yeah, Kubiak versus Daniels offensive coordinators, and then the defensive coordinators. I mean,
this could be interesting, and New England, even though it's a completely different coaching staff, Sam Darnold playing that division when he was with the Jets. Is there anybody still on New England or deep in the front office that remembers those Darnold days? And do they take anything? Even though it's two completely different Sam Darnolds, do they take anything? There's some intricacies. So I think it's subtle, and a lot of people won't see it at that, but there is some complexity to the Super Bowl deep down underneath the surface.
Absolutely, but I'm not giving my pick away, but yeah.
Yes.
Fuck the Patriots.
Man, I'm not gonna lie. If you pick New England in this game, I would be like, that's like me picking against my Niners, like under rash judgment.
Absolutely. Well, let's close out the show, my man. We got some news and notes to get to real quick on coaching carousel. And plus, I have one about the Pro Bowl, which is is that still a thing?
That's gonna lead into I want to end the show rapid fire with who wins the awards this year in the NFL since the nominations are out. But the biggest news of the bunch, I think, coaching carousel, or three big coaching moves. Mm-hmm. You have Jesse Minter moving from the Chargers defensive coordinator to the Baltimore Ravens head coach. Initial thoughts on that. I think Minter did very well with the Chargers defense this season. I know a lot of Charger fans wanted to keep him around. That's not going to happen. But what does Minter, in your opinion, bring to Baltimore?
Interesting. It may open up the offense if they continue to stick with Lamar, because Lamar's his own agent. He's going to want, more players. I know he knows he wants more weapons. The running game's getting a little older right there, obviously. So there's a lot of question marks, but I think if you're going to do a reset, he's the perfect guy to do it. It's just, does Lamar want to go for a reset? Or because let's be honest, I mean, Cincinnati's got to reboot too and stay healthy. That division's wide the hell open. Like Pittsburgh doesn't have a quarterback. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I think the home run situation with Jesse Minter, and I don't believe, if I'm not mistaken, Baltimore has hired an offensive coordinator quite yet. I don't know if Minter's. I don't know if you know that if Baltimore opened up and got an offensive coordinator to pair with Minter quite yet.
I haven't heard, no.
The only rumor I've read around is Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury, who's a mobile quarterback kind of connoisseur in his coaching. Mm-hmm. I would say that might be a perfect match with Lamar Jackson, and that could help them moving forward. I think defensively, Baltimore's always been a defensive first team, right? So
yeah.
To me, Minter, I think, is the right pick for Baltimore. I'll say that clean out. The second coaching move, let's stay within that division. How wacky this AFC North is. Mike McCarthy gets another chance. And after interesting times, we'll say, we know Maddie's not here, but very interesting times with the one-star rated Cowboys. He's now the leading man in charge in Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin gone after 18 years. It just smells like the milk's being taken out of the fridge and it's just going to sit on the counter until it spoils.
Yeah, that might, I mean, we're talking about a franchise that's only had 3 coaches all time. So like with the great guy, why I forget his name right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers coach.
Tomlin?
Why did I forget Tomlin? So Tomlin sitting out for a year. Red Furnace brings up Sean McDermott doing the same thing. Those 2 coaches will be the hottest commodities next year.
Season. Yep.
But for Tomlin to leave Pittsburgh and then your replacement, because you put a legend after a legend, like Cowher left and then you brought in Tomlin, and Tomlin was just like a meat grinder in that division, and just a mainstay. Awesome head coach, Hall of Famer. Absolutely. You bring in McCarthy? Really? Like
I'm going to be strange. You know me. I always like to take a hot take every once in a while. I said it early on in the season. Was this year Tomlin and John Harbaugh leave their respective teams?
Yeah,
and it happened.
True.
So
And
I'm gonna go out on a whim with you right now. Aaron Rodgers is going to be the opening day quarterback in Pittsburgh. He and McCarthy. I'm telling you, I've seen stranger things happen. How many teams, honestly, would sign Aaron Rodgers to be their starter right now? I don't think any. And with the way Pittsburgh is having to reboot right now, I think it's safe to say McCarthy would want a security blanket. Pittsburgh should draft the next Air Messiah. I know they drafted the Ohio State quarterback from last year, Will Howard. I don't know if Will Howard's going to be that dude, but I see him coming back. They got both their running backs, Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. DK's still there. To me, Rodgers quarterback, they got to retool at the wide receiving spot. That defense is still okay. It's older, but okay.
They're very old, though, man.
Very old.
Very
but
old.
I think if you bring Aaron Rodgers back, you beef up your wide receiving core a little bit. You add maybe one piece on defense that's younger. In a strange AFC North division, you never know what you're going to get for it. Is Cincinnati going to be healthy? What's Baltimore going to be? That team, 9 wins may get you in the postseason. I think Aaron Rodgers and that little setup could get you at least 8 wins, and then you kind of battle for some other ones. I've seen Stranger Things. Am I right?
Yeah, I've seen it on Netflix as well. But I will tell you this. I will tell you this right now. If there's 2 teams that come out of that division, I know we're early. We haven't gone through the draft, free agency, all that. But as it would stand right now, if you told me that 2 teams are coming out of that division for the playoffs next year, I'd laugh at you, dude, because someone's got to win it, obviously, like the NFC South.
Yep.
But god damn it, dude. There's so many flaws on those 4 teams, it's ridiculous. So
yeah, the last coaching, situation, it's not so much a head coach because half the head coaches have been taken. Cardinals still don't have a coach at this point. I said Cardinals. Did I say Cardinals? I'm sorry, Recards.
Thank you.
Cleveland doesn't have a coach at this point right now. Who else? Buffalo doesn't have a coach right now. So since there's not much head coaching or to talk about except Robert Saleh getting hired by Tennessee, from a Niner perspective, it's a bummer that he couldn't have one more go around with Bosa and Warner, and those injuries really took over the defense. Yeah. But he made do with what he could this season, and the Niners got as far as they did with what they had. And I still have mad respect for Robert Saleh. I do not have a single negative thing to say about Robert Saleh. I think Tennessee is a good opportunity for him because it's a team that doesn't have a lot of pressure on them. When he went to the Jets, even though the Jets didn't have high expectations, it's still that New York media. And
they still elevate their teams way higher than they should be.
So I think Tennessee has a good young quarterback. He can mold that defense, which at times looked okay at, this season. I think it's less pressure, different situation. So I think that's more of a fit for Robert Saleh. So, you have the former Dolphins coach, becoming the new offensive coordinator with the Chargers. So things happening here and there throughout the season, but I agree with you 100%. McDermott and Tomlin are going to be the coaching class of next season, and I wouldn't hold it against any team that doesn't have a coach right now to get some no-name somebody that's basically a 1-year rental and wait for Tomlin and McDermott. I wouldn't be shocked.
And I would say this right now, Tomlin and McDermott, I mean, places like Cincinnati where Zach Thomas is like, he's held on because he got them to the Super Bowl not too long ago. There's other spots where it's like, okay, if you don't win now, we got these 2, we'll throw the bank at these 2 coaches. Yep. And Red Furnace makes a good choice or a good comment right there saying about Kubiak.
Oh, yeah.
Buffalo may be waiting for Kubiak because, they haven't made a move yet. And Kubiak is a hot commodity out there. Obviously, McDaniels is going to stay an offensive coordinator. He's had his chances, but Kubiak is that next big guy.
Yep.
And, I would be shocked if Seattle retains him.
The 2 biggest coaching opportunities, I think, next year thinking forward, if things go wrong, Cincinnati, because I think Taylor's
Oh,
You've had a
absolutely.
lot of chances. And I think the wild card factor, Todd Bowles in Tampa Bay.
That too.
I
Yeah.
think those two have good rosters. They need to bulk up a couple of places, but they have good quarterbacks, good offenses. A coach would want to go in with that. And Sideways makes a good point. The Raiders still don't have a coach quite yet.
I forgot about them. They're
that
so
was the other one.
irrelevant.
Like, and they have the number one pick. And I know we'll talk about that at another show, because I'm like, in my opinion, do the Raiders maybe trade that? And, you know, you can get into that whole situation, but that will take too much time.
Dude,
but it's crazy.
No, to your point, who's the defensive end again? What's his name?
Crosby.
The Raiders. Yeah, you can easily get 2 first-rounders for him. I don't know what you can get Fernandez, but it'd be a good haul.
It would be a good haul.
Like the Jets could move up and be like, hey, we need a quarterback, which would suck for that guy, because whoever seems to go to the Jets always ruins their career or has to like go through a process like Sam.
Yep.
But but going to the Raiders is not different unless Brady's got some magical pixie dust. The Raiders are the Raiders, man. And if you're to load up on picks, I mean, I just don't want Fernandez to go in there like a goddamn was it David Carr, right, from Houston, or is it Derek Carr?
Or like like one of those guys, or like a Zach Wilson to the Jets. Like,
yeah, dude. I mean,
given
nothing, and then getting your ass kicked with no offensive line help. So I want Fernandez to be good, and I just don't think he's going to survive in Vegas.
It's going to be a rough go around. We'll see. Do the Raiders keep it? Do they trade? I'm still on the bandwagon that Max Crosby is going to look great in the red and gold of the Niners next season. I believe that.
No, see, the whole thing was, bro, like, we take Crosby, you can have Justin Jefferson. We'll give you another diva receiver in Frisco.
Yeah, right. No, honestly, but in a perfect world, and this comes back to where the NFC West is. The Stafford's still going to play. They're still going to have Puka, Devontae Adams, second year of his deal. The Rams are going to be good. They still got McVay, whatever. Seattle's opening their window now. The Niners it's a bounce back. They got a lot of work to do this offseason to combat a lot of things. They're going to miss Kittle for probably half to 3/4 of the season.
Yeah.
So you have that going for you. Purdy back, McCaffrey. It's basically the defensive line, offensive line, and, of course, your wide receiving room. I think the Niners, you are going to establish some guys in the draft. Mac Jones over Brock Purdy. Stop it. Stop it. I love Mac Jones. I
had to highlight that one.
I know, but mad respect for Mac Jones. He got us through a hump when Purdy missed 8 games. Like, mad respect.
He's going to get himself a nice contract.
That's going to be a 1 to 2 picks and maybe a first-round pick if the Niners can squeeze it out of somebody, right?
Yep.
So, and I'm thankful. And I guarantee if we lose Mac Jones, Zach Wilson's going to be a freaking 49er. And we're going to resurge in his career. You're welcome. The Niners need, to me, a wide receiver, defensive end. And then you got to retool your O-line through the draft in a lot of ways. Max Crosby or Justin Jefferson would be great, but I just don't see Minnesota selling at this point. They gave their defensive coordinator Flores that extension. I really, really don't think.
It depends on Justin Jefferson. He's really got to push the lever, because we've seen it before. Vikings have turned out receivers. There's certain teams we've talked about on this show where the Steelers and Bears are usually known for defense. The Bears bucked the trend this year because they went in on offense. Caleb with a fantastic year. Vikings are usually known for good defenses of stacked receivers, on the running back and on the quarterback. You don't even need a star at quarterback in Minnesota. You just need someone competent and able to stay on his feet. And they're hoping they got that with McCarthy, but what if they don't? And does Jefferson want to stick around? And because he's in his prime, no matter what, he's in his prime. And if he goes to Frisco, he's obviously the number one because Ayuk's gone. So
Jesus help me.
I mean, you guys have turned out some pretty damn good divas in your time there in San Francisco.
And the rumors already swirling, like, is there a reunion between the Niners and Deebo Samuel? And I'm like, if Deebo can come down to earth and play like 2021, 2019 Deebo, sure, I would entertain that. But he made his bet. He's got to lie in it with the Commanders. Sorry. Find a way. And there's a lot of free agent talk to be had. And before we get to the final of going through the awards, I just want to put out this comment right here. Yes, and Tom Brady was drafted very late in the NFL draft, and look how that turned out, just putting it out there. How many NFC titles? Yes, Purdy hasn't hosted the Lombardi Trophy yet, but the Niners would not be where the Niners are without Brock Purdy because Jimmy G wasn't getting them there. And I don't think a guy like J.J. McCarthy would be helping the Niners at this point. Just
Trey
putting
Lance
it out there.
And Trey Lance wasn't exactly a great pick because, if Shanahan can't fix Trey Lance, nobody can.
Hey, we fixed Mac Jones. That was another guy. We fixed Mac Jones.
That's true.
I'm just saying, but free agent talk will come in the offseason. So much to look forward to. Awards time.
Yeah, let's do the awards, man.
The awards time. And this is going to be kind of rapid fire, quick takes since we're already, an hour in just between the two of us. We could be here all freaking day. I love this.
No kidding.
But we do miss Randy. We do miss Maddie, Matt. They couldn't be here with us tonight. Work and other obligations. But cheers to those gentlemen. We'll all be together to prep the Super Bowl show probably
next
a week
week
from now. Absolutely. Yeah. Here we go. The assistant coach of the year. You have Vic Fangio, Philly D coordinator, Brian Flores, D coordinator from Minnesota, Vance Joseph, D coordinator, Broncos, Clint Kubiak, OC, offensive coordinator from Seattle, and Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator in New England. I might know where Todd goes with this one, but let's see. Todd, where's your quick take?
I'm going Homer. I'm going Kubiak, man.
I got Vance Joseph, Denver Broncos, DC.
He did a hell of a job. There's no doubt.
I think that a hell of a job this season overall. But I think in that category, to me, anybody could win that with the exception of probably Brian Flores. Minnesota, the way they played out this year, they had moments, but I think anybody would be alive in that case.
Yeah.
Next up, AP Coach of the Year. And these were pretty much the same five that I thought were going to be a couple weeks ago. Liam Cohen, Jacksonville, Ben Johnson, Chicago, Mike McDonald, Seattle, Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers, and Mike Vrabel, New England. Todd, are we going to be 2 for 2 on the homer track?
I think you should give it to McDonald because of the gauntlet he went through, that division. He should get it, but I have a feeling they'll give it to Vrabel. Both are deserving, by the way.
Yeah. I'm going to be a homer, but I'm going to be realist. I would like to be Kyle Shanahan with everything that they endured this season and having to make riches out of rags.
Yeah.
With all the injuries, but I will be realist. If I had a vote in the fight, honestly, he'll get his time in the future of Ben Johnson. So I would probably sign off and say the NFL will give it to Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, I think so.
I would say that, but definitely Liam Cohen and Ben Johnson, outstanding seasons with the Bears in Jacksonville.
Absolutely. Cohen, just because I feel Trevor Lawrence is a coach killer, and he was able to elevate Trevor Lawrence. So, that's pretty good.
And this brings up a great segue. How the hell does Shedeur Sanders, a.k.a. Barack Obama, get to the Pro Bowl over Trevor Lawrence? I know Trevor Lawrence is Mr. WNBA to you, but just the stats alone, if you blindfolded somebody, how is that acceptable? We know the Pro Bowl is a joke, but just for a statistical breakdown, how is that acceptable?
I don't know. I think it's if they were looking to keep the Pro Bowl anywhere relevant. I mean, flag football wasn't the way to go, but my God, how has this game fallen off? I mean, literally, Shedeur got his number retired in Colorado without doing a damn thing.
Yep.
And it's so weird. But it's spurred on by his father, and now you think about where they're at right now, putting him in the Pro Bowl as a quarterback that has 7 touchdowns and 10 picks. That's a Pro Bowl quarterback?
That just proves the NFL has no idea what they're doing with.
No, just cancel the damn thing. Like right now, until you can come up with something like international, like the 4 nations for hockey. NBA should do, world versus America and put some sort of stakes in it, because what I've seen in different sports, if you put national pride behind it, country pride, they play better. They play for something.
Yeah.
I know you don't have too much of that in the NFL because there's not too many guys from Nigeria, not too many guys from Canada, some of the countries that actually do pump in some players.
Yep.
so you don't have too much to pull from like you would baseball. Baseball, you can pull in any kind of nation. That's what
Yeah.
makes baseball fun too, the World Baseball Classic. But yeah, man, I mean, the NFL has fallen off, dude. I mean, they might as well just have them play at the beach and have some MTV throwback music videos in the background or some
Mm.
dancers.
When
Make
you
it
have the NFL prima donna mentality, and this happens after the season,
yeah.
nobody cares. And even if you did it in the middle of the season, nobody wants to get hurt.
Mhm.
That's always a worry. Like even though most all-star games suck, at
Yep.
least MLB, the players try and play.
Yeah.
NBA, they don't try. NFL, they don't try. NHL All-Star game, when it's not the Four Nations, NHL, it's kind of a scrimmage. The Four Nations, again, when you're playing for pride in your nation, like get ready to watch the Olympics. Like it's that on steroids when it comes to the Four Nations face-off in the NHL. If I'm Trevor Lawrence, I know it's a Pro Bowl, it doesn't really matter, but I'd be like, what? Like I'd be like, what the F? I would.
Yeah, it's just not a thing anymore. I'd actually go back to some people that can remember what is it, 1990s, maybe a little bit earlier than that, when they had the quarterback club and you
Yep.
go out there in Hawaii and they would do these tournaments, you'd be for accuracy and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And you have like all these things they have to do the drills. I mean, that was more exciting than the freaking Pro Bowl, dude.
I
And they
would do the drills for quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and make it who is the best at their position.
Yeah, absolutely. Or just have the AFC, the best at their position versus the NFC. You're
Yeah.
not risking injury. You're just doing drills. You're just doing, talent type things and, give autographs and stuff like that. Make it free. I mean, I just don't get it, man. I
It's
mean,
going, how they've already done the Pro Bowl. It's, Peyton Manning versus Eli Manning. Deion Sanders is going to be there. And I'll be shocked if he's not. There's going to be a tie to grab the viewership and grab everything else. It's just, we're giving this way too much time to talk about, but still,
yeah.
it's pretty sad that you can't put the right people in just a proper conversation. Like, again, we'll get to it in a minute, but how is Trevor Lawrence in the running for MVP, but not in a Pro Bowl?
Yeah. Well, I think what that has to do with is, it used to be a thing too where it's like, oh, we're going to Hawaii. Let's take the family. The NFL's paying for my family and myself to go to the Pro Bowl in Hawaii. They don't do that no more. So
Yep.
there's no incentive to go. And then you're not getting bonuses for being a Pro Bowler anymore either.
Yep.
So it's like, you know what? Why do we even want to participate in this stupid scrimmage? So I don't blame the players, but that's what I think it comes down to. Like a lot of people, bro, said no. And
Yep.
I think Shador wants his name out there. And if he wants to grow his brand, if he wants to show that, hey, I could throw a spiral in Hawaii.
Yep.
Okay, go for it.
Yep. See what happens.
Who
But
cares?
it's crazy. So from the coach of the year now to the comeback player of the year,
Mhm.
maybe Shador might be in the running for this next year since he didn't start the year as the Browns head coach.
True.
You never know. But the good category here, you have Stephon Diggs, New England Patriots, Aiden Hutchinson, Detroit Lions, Trevor Lawrence, not a Pro Bowler, but in the comeback category, Jacksonville, Christian McCaffrey, 49ers, and Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys. Can I just say mine?
Mhm.
I'm going to be a homer.
Go for it.
CMC. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
I'd have to say for the punishment he took all year and still staying upright coming off the injury, I'd say CMC because he had the Madden curse too last year.
Mhm.
So
Trust me. In that nuclear lab that's right next to the practice facility, all the injured bodies go there, and he just feasts on them. And that's
I
what
guess
kept
so.
him alive you give up, you got to sacrifice to give something. And Christian McCaffrey had a fantastic year, catching the ball, running the ball, the do it all for you. The amount of touches he got, another 1,000 season, tops in the Niners franchise history in single season stats. It was a year for CMC. Wish it could have ended up better, but definitely love that comeback player type mentality.
Mhm.
Next up, defensive rookie of the year. You got some good ones, and I think Todd may be a homer in this one as well. You got Abdul Carter, New York Giants. James Pierce Jr., Atlanta Falcons. Carson Schlesinger, Cleveland Browns. Xavier Watts, Atlanta Falcons. And Todd, just say who's nominated and who you're picking.
Ewer Murray, picking him.
Nick Murray of the Seattle defensive back. And shockingly, I will agree with you on that one. I think that one's pretty straightforward. If I had to give a second one, Schlesinger for the Browns had a really nice season. I'd give it to Schlesinger as the second pick, but Ewer Murray, Seattle will take this one away. Rookie of the year offensively, this is a fun category. You got Jackson Dart, the Giants, Emeka Egbuka, Tampa Bay, Travion Henderson, Patriots, T. McMillan, Carolina Panthers, and Tyler Show, New Orleans Saints. So some guys who didn't start the year, or some that had really good parts of the year and then had really bad parts of the year. Kind of a little mixed bag of a little bit of everybody. Todd, who are you going with the offensive rookie of the year?
I would have went Ibuka from Tampa, but he slowed down big time in the second half of the season. And I think Schuff looked just like a seasoned, not veteran, but like a 2-3 year starter by the end of the year with New Orleans. So I'll go with him.
I like the story for New Orleans. Honestly, he's got the name. He's got the swagger. He's going to lead this team moving forward with John Harbaugh. I think they're going to give it to Jackson Dart. I think the passing ability, the running ability, with Harbaugh now as a sidebar, the Giants could be a little scary in that NFC. So I think they have the right pieces in place to compete with Philly moving forward next season.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Offensive player of the year. These are going to be some good ones. 2 are going to the Super Bowl. The other 3, high rankings. And if you had your fantasy teams, they were very good to you this year. You got Drake May, Patriots, Christian McCaffrey, 49ers, Puka Nacua, Rams, Bijan Robinson, Falcons, and Jackson Smith and Jigba of the Seattle Seahawks. Does Todd go 4 for 4 in homer picks?
Yes, I do. JSN. If Puka had more yards, I'd say Puka, but I think JSN was more valuable to the Seahawks.
We're going to patronize each other. I'm going to go homer as well. CMC. You know, all of these players, I think Bijan has a case. They all have a case, right? I think we can be honest about that. Drake May had a very good year for New England, even with the cookie cutter schedule. But Christian McCaffrey, we could go all day of what he meant to the Niners and the numbers that he put down and the touches and the rankings. Do it all for you player, man. And I think he did that really well. I give it to McCaffrey.
Mm-hmm.
Shocking, right?
Very shocking.
Defensive player of the year. Again, a lot of good defenses that are put on display here. Will Anderson Jr., Houston, defensive end. Nick Bonitto, Denver Broncos, linebacker. Myles Garrett, defensive end. Then you have Aiden Hutchinson on the comeback trail with Detroit, and Micah Parsons with the Packers, not the Cowboys, Packers.
No, I'd have to give it to Garrett. I mean, you break the sack record. Come on now.
Yeah, I don't care if there's controversy with how he broke the sack record. He broke it. Will Anderson Jr., if he didn't break the sack record, I think Will Anderson Jr. had a very good year. But I think Myles Garrett, it goes without saying.
Absolutely.
Most valuable player. And this is where I'm going to have a bit of a conversation. You know how MLB has the MVP and the Cy Young?
Mm-hmm.
And the NFL get on that train with the amount of times the MVP award is dedicated to a quarterback. We need to have a Joe Montana quarterback award and an MVP. Like, church and state's got to be separate, because the NFL voters, I don't care if you have the best season running back wise, a quarterback's going to win it. I don't care. There needs to be separation of church and state. Am I right or am I wrong?
No, I totally agree.
So this year you have 4 quarterbacks and 1 running back. Is it swayed? I don't know. You have Josh Allen, Buffalo. Trevor Lawrence, not a Pro Bowler. Drake May, Matthew Stafford, and look, a non-quarterback, Christian McCaffrey.
This is going to surprise you, but seeing what he did to our defense twice in Seattle and just watching him all year, and the fact that he threw almost 50 touchdowns with only 8 interceptions. Yeah, give me Stafford.
Selfishly, CMC, just because of the whole controversy, like I just said, We need to separate church and state. So I'll say McCaffrey. Honestly speaking, though, if Trevor Lawrence had a full 16-plus game or 17-game season, the way he played week 10 and on, it's Trevor Lawrence. And I think he could get there with Liam Cohen as his head coach. But I'm going to take a big stab of guess. Matthew Stafford is going to get this award.
Yeah, easily.
I would love to just screw with the people and give it to a non-quarterback and then create a controversy within that. Because with the NFL, it's going to take a non-quarterback to win the award to create a quarterback award.
100%.
In that scenario. So, because if we did have a quarterback only award, it would be Allen, it would be Lawrence, it would be May, it would be Stafford.
See, if they did that award 10 years ago, it would be the Montana. I'd have to say if they were to start to do it now, it'd be the Brady. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if there's 5 quarterbacks, if it was just quarterbacks, those 4 in there, who in the NFL would have been your 5th quarterback to put in a quarterback only award? Because you have Allen, Lawrence, May, Stafford.
I think you have to give some love to my boy, even though he threw double-digit interceptions. He still threw for over 4,000 yards and was a huge reason why Seattle won a lot of games. So I think you'd have to throw him in there. I don't think he'd win it, but you'd have to throw him in there.
In consideration. Per contrary belief, Darnold would be, I would say, in the running for that. I would say, you could give some love to Bo Nix with the way he carried Denver this season. A lot of people might be different on this one. Do you give love to Caleb Williams?
Yeah, that's another one that he should, because he balled out
and
for most of the season.
An almost 4,000-yard season. He was ranked 7th in the NFL, 3,942 yards. He averaged 231 per game. Only had 7 interceptions this year, which is very clean, with 27 touchdowns and a QBR on average of 58.3, with the highest being Drake May at 77.1. I think you could give Mr. Pain and Nails an opportunity as well.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't wear a dress on stage, we're good.
Hey, you never know. We might get that in the Super Bowl halftime show, but that's for another conversation.
We're definitely getting that, unfortunately. Jesus Christ.
Only in the Bay Area it happens, but some fun things, Todd. I'll let you close up shop here, but a good 90 minutes spent on the AFC, NFC, and some news and notes around the NFL.
Absolutely. So we close this out real quick. If you're still on right now and you're looking for tickets to the big game, or you're looking for tickets to any game, go to our boys at 714 tickets, 714tickets, or use the app. Go to the promo code, type in HITI, which stands for Halos in the Infield, and you get 10% off of your tickets. The best thing about it, $28 or $218, it doesn't matter. There's no service price, there's no taxes, no service charges, let's say. So the price you see is the price you get. You add that 10% on, and you get 10% off of your total price, and then 5% back to your account for further expenditures on more tickets. And those just don't work here in the SoCal area. They work all around the nation. So if you're a Jersey Devils fan, if you're an Atlanta Hawks fan, if you're a Los Angeles Lakers fan, if you're a Seattle Seahawks fan, if you're a Kraken fan, it doesn't matter. The point is, even in Toronto, it works. So anywhere in the Western Hemisphere, if you want to go to the Olympics, look it up. And even for concerts, you can use the HEDI code as well through 714 Tickets. 714 Tickets has one of the biggest brokerage outlet of tickets for such a localized company. They go nationwide and beyond. So 714 Tickets is our sponsor for the show. We like to give them a lot of thanks. And we have a lot of newbies on the football show. We've been doing this all year. We've been doing the pick'ems and also the recaps of every game during the regular season, and then we've been doing it. If you missed the first half, rewatch it. It'll be on the on this page. We do Angels baseball. We do baseball content in general, plus hockey as well. That's why I'm wearing the Ducks hat. Normally, I would be wearing my Seahawks gear because of what we got going on, but I just don't have a hat with me or a jersey. Most of it's still baseball and hockey stuff, and then he's got his Niners stuff. He was wearing his Duck stuff, Dominic, right there. So huge Niner fan, huge Seahawks fan. We still get along.
Yes, we do. For a couple, week 1, we were friends.
Yes.
Week 18, we were friends.
Not so much.
Not so much. Playoffs, Not so much. I was down with the sickness, so I wasn't 100% myself. But we still come together. I still give props to Seattle. It pains me. It's excruciating. But I got to be honest. And right now, if you want your Super Bowl tickets on 714 Tickets, you know what the cheapest price is? The grand total of just $6,932 a ticket. Just under $7,000.
You'd use our 10% code.
Let's go ahead. 10% off that. You get 2 tickets, 12. You get about over $1,200 off. How about that?
That's pretty damn good.
Let's go, baby. You never know what can happen. But yeah, we love 714 Tickets. We love all of our sponsors, Noble Ale Works, and everybody on the crew. We keep it going here on the Halos in the Infield and Unfiltered Sports Podcast Network.
Absolutely. So this has been the Football Show. Look forward to seeing us next Monday as we'll preview the big game, and we'll talk more news and notes if there's any at that point. Get your comments and everything else on the Unfiltered Sports Network. I am Todd Fox, and that is
Dominic Lorenz. Go Niners. Even though they're gone, go Niners.
the Niners. Go Hawks, baby. Super Bowl.